Mastering your definition of success. Identifying others' definition of success for you, owning your definition of success, clarifying your definition of success, identifying steps required to achieving your definition of success. Mastering your definition of success. In this module, you'll learn how to define what a win actually looks like for you in your life and career, and then identify the steps you need to take to achieve your definition of success. Number one, identifying others' definition of success for you. When it comes to success, there's a measuring stick that we were handed when we were kids. What I mean is, somebody else defined success for you. Somebody introduced winning and losing to you. The minute you began school, your intellect was being evaluated. Your first PE class, your physical fitness was immediately evaluated. And rather quickly, you could see where you were in the ranks. Whether it's our neighborhood, region, or country we live in, or our socioeconomic class, our religion, our race, our gender, or the generation in which we are born. A lot goes into influencing what we think is successful. None of us are born and raised in a vacuum. We are inundated with messaging that tells us what we should want and aspire to be. And when you get those messages, you learn conformity psychology, which means you learned and adapted to what your circle valued as success. It could have been clothing, it could have been athleticism, it could have been grades. But whatever our circle values the most is typically what we pour our energy into in order to conform or fit in it. I grew up in a lower income neighborhood, but was given a scholarship to go to a private school across town. In my neighborhood, success had two legal paths and one illegal one. Professional athletes, specifically in the NBA or NFL, entertainer, or drug dealer. Despite how lucrative it could have been, drug dealing was not encouraged by my parents. However, across town with my private school friends, you had many options for success. You could go into healthcare, you could be a lawyer, chemist, politician, engineer, you could even be an entrepreneur and start your own business. On my side of town, success was measured by my ability to dunk. On the other side of town, success was measured by GPA. On my side of town, you were successful if you wore FUBU. On the other side of town, you were successful if you wore Abercrombie & Fitch. I ended up wearing FUBU jeans with an Abercrombie & Fitch t-shirt. I was truly a product of my environments, and it felt like a good reflection of my personality and style. Have you ever stopped to think about what your definition of success really is? And have you ever stopped to think about where it came from? The older we get, the more conformity psychology grows in various categories. For certain men, the metric for success is to look like Dwayne Johnson, perform like Tony Robbins, and be able to earn like Elon Musk. For most women, the metric for success is what I believe to be unrealistic, especially for working mothers. They are not only expected to look good, perform well, but not too well, and make a decent living, but they're also expected to raise amazing little humans at the same time. In academia, success becomes all about advanced degrees, tenure, or getting published. For social media, it's going viral and having high engagement. For churches, a lot of success is determined by how many people show up on a weekend. In politics, it is funding and votes. In professional sports, it is championship rings and sponsorship deals. In music, it's a Grammy. In film, it's an Oscar. In law, it's making partner. Pick any industry, and you will often find an arbitrary metric. Pre-social media, if I achieved my definition of success, nobody knew. My neighbors, classmates, and friends only knew I was making it if they came over and saw it for themselves. Maybe people who had really done something ended up in the newspaper, but the events of our lives, both the highs and the lows, were only shared with those who knew us. But then social media happened, and a new category of success was created. Shares, likes, pokes, retweets, quote tweets, views, comments, replies, followers, subscribers, downloads, and blue checks to let everyone know you're verified and a big deal of sorts. When my wife and I were dating, I heard her tell a friend she thought it would be cool to get engaged and married on the same day. I had absolutely no idea what that meant, but I guessed and decided to start planning our wedding behind her back over the course of 2 years. June 7th, 2013, I get down on one knee and I say, "Amanda, will you marry me?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Just kidding. Will you marry me today?" We opened up a lounge room door with about 85 of our family and friends standing in there with a sign that said, "Today." What we did from there was explain to our guests what the rest of the day would look like. And my wife was swept away to a suite where the dress, hair, makeup, and jewelry were waiting for her to get ready. We were engaged for a solid 11 hours before the ceremony. We recorded the whole thing and made a documentary called The Surprise Wedding. It went viral on YouTube a few months later, and then we went on Good Morning America. And here's what was interesting. It aired on a Thursday morning. I got so many text messages and notifications that day that my phone died by 10 a.m. By many people's definition of success, being on TV, we were successful. And then something amazing happened. Friday's show aired, and guess what? We weren't on it. It was a cute story, but the world had moved on. We were actually living paycheck to paycheck without any real notion of what we'd do next. But from the outside looking in, we looked successful, but the reality for us, we were just a young couple figuring things out as we went. Maybe for you, success looks like a specific car or a certain square footage of a home in a particular neighborhood in your favorite city, or a luxury vacation, courtside seats, or a C-suite role in the company, or stock options, or getting another degree, or maybe it's looking like a model on Instagram. If you're single, maybe success for you looks like getting married and having 2.5 kids. Regardless of what your current definition of success is, you have to ask yourself, where did it come from? I'm not the definition of success police. What I want you to be able to answer after taking this course is why your definition of success is what it is. Some people's definition of success is simply not disappointing their parents. I'm amazed at how many people I think are very successful that feel like failures because nothing is ever good enough for their parents. Parental approval would be amazing, but why is it necessary for you to actually feel successful? Some people's definition of success is simply being better than the people they went to high school with. Success by comparison is a thing, but are you sure that you would want that to be your measuring stick? If you want a check mark next to your name on social media, I would say that's awesome, but why? If your definition of success is a specific title at your job, again, I would ask you, why? I've found that a lot of people don't even like their colleagues, yet they want to impress them so badly. If your goal is to grow the business into a multi-million-dollar operation, I would say that's awesome, but why? So you can be wealthy. Well, why do you want to be wealthy? You don't need me to tell you that wealth doesn't equal happiness. As they say, more money, more problems. I just don't think people pause long enough to question the definition of success that has been handed to them. If you want to live in New York, I simply ask you, why? I know people who move to California to be near the beach, but never even go to the beach. The access to the beach makes them feel successful, but they've maybe been twice. They're paying 3 times as much in rent that they would have been paying if they lived in the Midwest. Had they not moved, they could have afforded to vacation at the nicest beaches in the world. If you say that your job title really matters to you, I don't knock that at all. I would just ask you to consider what a title actually does for your success. I've sat with many single professionals who tell me that they receive pressure to get married, as if it's that easy, right? Like you can just go outside and make that happen. Again, who made the rule that successful people have to get married? If you're married, I'd say you're successful. If you can stay married. I know single and married people who are depressed. I know wealthy people who are incredibly lonely, and people who can barely make ends meet who have profound relationships. Shaquille O'Neal opened up on a podcast where he talked about the extreme loneliness he felt when his wife and kids packed up and left after 7 years of marriage. He found himself in a 76,000 square foot home alone. He said He would actually wander the house, going to their rooms, and feel the profound emptiness. Andre Agassi shocked the sports world in 2009 when he released an autobiography, Open, in which he revealed that he hated tennis. How could one of the greatest tennis players of all time hate the game he was so good at? It was because tennis was a game that his dad wanted him to play. Tennis was his dad's plan, not his. To work through some of this, I want you to refer to the workbook exercise for this lesson, because here's the deal. It would be a shame for me or for you to wake up one day and realize we're living out somebody else's dream and somebody else's definition of success. In this module, I want you to really dig deep. And I really want you to think about why you want what you want. In the next lesson, we're going to start moving towards having a definition of success that you can truly call your own.